Welcome to LOA Today. I'm Walt Thiessen. With me today is longtime listener, poet laureate, and Taya Master Anne-Marie Young. This is your Daily Dose of Happy. We are so happy you decided to join us today.
100% certain whether my cat Joy is going to leave me alone today. So if you hear funny things with the microphone, or if you get funny laughter from my guest or my co-host today, you'll know what that's all about. It's just Joy, just being Joy. But right now, he seems to be content to just sit over there, so we'll just kind of leave it like that. Let licking cats lie, as it goes. So anyway, we have a special guest joining us today, Dr. Reynolds. Kairus is joining us, and he has a very, very interesting story because of where he came from and where he got to and how he got there along the way. We're going to be hearing a lot about that story in the next few minutes here. But Dr. Ray, first of all, thank you for joining us today. How are you doing?
Yeah.
I'm loving life, and I appreciate you having me. Thank you so much. How you guys doing?
Well, fabulous.
Very well.
Doing great. And are you connecting from New York City?
Yes, sir. Yes,
You
sir.
are? Okay, yeah. And that's where you're from originally, right?
Yeah, born and raised.
All right. So give the audience an idea of your background and how you got to becoming Dr. Ray.
Yeah, so my name is Reynolds Kairus. I was born and raised in New York City. And I was born in the 80s, raised in the 90s, post-crack epidemic, by a single mother on welfare. You know, your stereotypical inner city poverty-stricken youth. And I was able to turn it around, applying the laws of attraction to my life, where basically I've been able to go from a high school dropout who's been arrested, shot at, and destined to death or jail to now, you know, holding a doctorate degree in medicine and reaching over 4 million people worldwide on the internet. And, you know, in a nutshell, that's a summary of some of the things that I've been able to accomplish. But, you know, basically it all started with me listening to the universe, me listening to my conscious, and me just being sick and tired of being sick and tired, and applying the things that we learn. Because a lot of times we learn self-improvement, we learn self-development, and we get a false sense of accomplishment. And what I mean is, people, you know, it's a multi-million, possibly billion-dollar industry. You know, the industry of being happy, the industry of self-development. You know, my introduction to it was in Barnes and Noble. I don't know if you guys remember Barnes and Nobles, but that was a bookstore. And the self-development, self-improvement section was my oasis. You know, I was like, wow, I can't believe that I'm able, and we're able as a whole, humanity, to accomplish such great feats. Because my thing was like, you know, as a youth, my goal was to be arrested for something more violent than my influences. You know what I mean? Which was like gangster movies, gangster rapping, gangster relatives, you know? But then I started, you know, tapping into this content. And for years I had this thing where it was like, you know, look at all these books I consumed, you know, look at my bookshelf. But after a while I realized, like, you can just choose one book as long as it's the right book and apply it, and you'll get the results that you're looking for. You will attract and manifest the life you desire, so long as that you put in the work. You know, so one of the things I would like to share is that if there's anything that you find in me that you find to be commendable, it's just it was like, if I could do it, you could do it. It's just a matter of doing it. You know what I mean? Getting it done.
I love the fact that you started in Barnes and Noble in the self-help section. I literally practically slept there, to the point where the girl behind the counter was giving me sidelong looks like, what is wrong with this guy? He's here all the time. So I totally grabbed, but I mean, let's be honest, that's kind of an unusual selection for a gangbanger. I mean, how did you end up in the self-help section?
You know what the problem with society is? I mean, I ended up there because I was always had this nudge of doing something bigger, like in the back of my mind, you know. And then I was introduced to like multi-level marketing, where, you know, those pyramid schemes that kind of brainwash you to sell products and stuff. That was my introduction. They introduced me to self-help because they needed to, like, you know, clean me up. You know what I mean? Like I used to go to their meetings and with like half my head braided, sagging my pants, and every other word was a curse word. So they're like, oh man, this guy has potential, but we need to polish him, you know? So what they used to polish me was like self-development, business related books. And then I grabbed those books and I used it for that business that I was pursuing. I don't know if you guys ever heard of Quick Star or Amway, you know?
Amway, sure.
Yeah, that was basically under that umbrella. And that was like my start to self-development because they were introducing me to like, you know, Tony Robbins and all these things. And Walt, I know your start when self-development was Tony Robbins in the 80s. I remember you bought his program. So you could probably like remember that feeling you had when you were like, oh my God, I could do this. You know what I mean? And that was my start, you know? Yeah, I was going to say something before that, but it kind of slipped my mind.
Well, that's right. It'll come back.
Yep. That was my initiation into self-development.
That's pretty funny too, because my first initiation to it wasn't through multi-level marketing, but it was through a sales program. And the sales program was for a company that was owned by W. Clement Stone, who's also one of the big names in the self-help industry. And like you, that exposure to self-help influenced me. It took me a while, it took me years to actually kind of make the changes, but it did point me in that direction. Interestingly enough, my time with that company didn't work out at all. And I ended up with kind of the opposite of what you were talking about. I didn't really open up to like, wow, this is all possible. It was more like I shut down to like, yeah, well, that's for everybody but me. I had that kind of a negative attitude toward the whole thing. So, I mean, I just think it's excellent, phenomenal that you just lashed onto it like that. That's terrific.
What I did was I extrapolated it. I extrapolated it into my further endeavors. So I learned all that information, and then I was like, wait, now I could use this to do this. And now I can use that to do that. And I still do. You know what I mean? Where I learned what I learned during that time, and I continue learning every day from content similar to your podcast, where you have to continue to feed the flame. Because as soon as you get off, while you guys are listening, and immediately after, you're going to feel motivated and inspired, but then you're going to be pulled back in by society, right? Then it chips away at you, the bills, the debt, the health, and all these things. And I got to tell you, people, don't make the mistake I made, which was I kind of pulled away momentarily from self-development. And then I fell into the trap of prioritizing professional development instead of personal development. So for people that are watching this live, you'll be able to see that behind me, I have a bunch of degrees. These are like my EMT healthcare degrees. Like I have something here that says that I got recognition from the fire department of New York City for saving lives. You see my EMT degree there. I see my medical degree. And I was so gung-ho about becoming a doctor and applying the law of attraction and applying self-improvement content that I forgot about myself. I forgot about my well-being. I was drinking 7 cups of coffee. I was 70 pounds heavier. My autoimmune disease was triggered by the stress, and I was all over the place, right? Because it's like you get so gung-ho about like accomplishing your goals. This is like the dark side of, you know what I mean? Like the dark side of success, where you I don't believe there's like toxic productivity. There's a lot of people like, oh, you're out working, you're working too much. I just feel that people are not strong enough to deal with it.
What do you mean by what do you mean when you say that they're not strong enough?
Like, for example, at that point in time, the reason why I caught the gastritis and my autoimmune disease was through the roof, and I had depression and suicidal ideation, and I ended up getting 70 pounds heavier, was because I didn't have positive venting mechanisms in place to deal with the stress that I put myself under. So when you have a disease, it's because you're fragile in the majority of cases. Not in every case, because there's outliers. There's people who are born with a congenital disease, you know, and that's a genetic predisposition or something that happened that that you couldn't really do much about. But for the majority, the general public, whoever's suffering from any disease or any type of ailment, if you go down to the root cause is gluttony. The root cause is weakness. The root cause is lack of discipline. And these are all those attributes were part of my character at that point in time. So I ended up almost making the ultimate mistake of, ending it all. So, I just want to share with the people, you need to prioritize personal development. Because if there's something I learned from one of my mentors in self-improvement content, is that once you're good at being you, you'll be good at anything.
Good point.
So if you decide to be a rocket scientist, if you decide to be a doctor, or just a manager at McDonald's, if you have discipline, you'll be good at it. So personal development is more than just reading books. Personal development is more than just watching videos. Personal development is working on what's personal to you. And what is your personal space? It's your body. Mm-hmm. I just love the way this is all like coming together. Like I'm not even talking. I feel like a vessel right now.
You're channeling.
Yeah. Like it's time to wake up the masses. And how are we going to wake them up? You need to understand, he and she who is light on their feet is enlightened. But if you just finish eating a bacon cheeseburger or 4 slices of pizza because you're a vegan with like vegan cheese and all this stuff, your body's so busy metabolizing the food that you're not allowing yourself to be channeling information. That's why so many different religions have some form of fasting in it. Because once you're fasted, you receive information, or your senses are more sensitive, you're more alert, you're leveraging the sympathetic nervous system, the fight or flight system, And I got this stuff down to the T, man. Like I learned it, I lived it, and personal development, you can read all the books you want, and you can have all the money you want. But what good is it being on the yacht if you're too bashful to take your shirt off?
Good point. What do you think what do you think the important or the relationship is, or to what degree is there a relationship between self-development as you're describing it and feeling good about yourself, self-esteem, self-confidence, that sort of thing?
I feel that a person who's not healthy is not successful. Because at the end of the day, the things that are most valuable are the things that are priceless. Like if you think about your eyesight, sure, you could like go to a doctor who gives you like teardrops or whatever, right? But at the end of the day, you could have billions and billions of dollars, and if your eyesight was in danger, what you would do is give up all those millions and millions of dollars so you could see, most likely. So I've seen like healthy businessmen have one too many drinks and then they end up on the liver transplant list. But it's not just because of the drinks. It's also because the stress is also because of being overweight. So you need to realize that we're like a Ferrari. You're like the greatest machine ever created. You're magical. Whoever's listening to this, you are magical. Magic had to happen for your creation. And if you're trashing that magical creation with like food that's made in a laboratory or comes in a wrapper, then you're drowning out your conscious. You're drowning it out because this oil, for you're made for synthetic oil, but you're like, nah, I'm gonna put regular oil, or I'm just gonna put whatever gets it going. So if you're 1 pound overweight, just 1 pound, you're overworking your organs. Because your organs, let's say They say that everybody's organ is made the size of their fist. So if you squeeze your fist and you look at your heart, if you look at your fist, hey, that's the size of my heart, more or less, right? That heart is made to feed your ideal body weight. So if your ideal body weight is 150 pounds and you're 151 pounds, that's 1 pound extra that your heart has to supply with oxygenated blood, that your kidneys have to filter, that your liver has to detoxify. So, you know, if you're overworking your organs, then eventually they will fail. You know, it's kind of like you're very strong and you're climbing this mountain, but it's a lot easier to climb the mountain without a backpack or someone on your back.
Yeah, that's
You
true.
know what I mean? So it's like, for you to be successful, you need to be healthy. Like,
No, go ahead. No, go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, too much people place too much value on like getting out of debt and like buying stuff, or like the house with the white picket fence. Like, of course, get all that stuff. You know, live a optimal existence, but make sure you're strong in all areas of life. Physically, mentally, spiritually, financially as well. Like, I'm not a hippie. I'm not like in the woods, like, I'm just gonna go off grid, you know. I'm not gonna like ignore society, you know, but at the same time, don't lean on that only, you know. I'm just speaking from my experience.
No, absolutely. Well, I think we all do. I mean, that's what the value of perspective is, really.
Yes.
Anne-Marie, you've been really, really quiet here. What are you thinking about at this point?
Well, I think when you eat better and when you drink water rather than soda, or, you know, you do feel better. It's definitely, I think, the stuff you put into your body is going to relay more of the outside. I know I tend to go, it's no secret that I tend to go to sugar when that's my comfort food. But I know that's something I need to work on. I know there's development in that area, but I also do think that the fact that I am overweight doesn't make me less spiritual. I don't think it makes me less of a person. There's just more work to do.
Definitely. And by the way, there's things that I'm gonna say that are based on my opinion, and everyone has a different perspective. But
that's what makes it interesting.
Yeah, but at the end of the day, the facts are the facts. What I'm sharing with people is factual. This is not my personal opinion. You know, and remember, a real friend is someone that's gonna tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear. So if you look at my intensity, you're like, wow, this guy's like, what the heck? You know, oh my God, this is too much. You know, the reason why, and Marie, I just came from the gym. I just finished lifting weights. I got my kids behind the light, and I look into their eyes, and I'm feeling very much emotional motivation. I haven't ate, so like I'm also like very alert, you know, like so. But besides the point, besides the intensity and the emotion, the vibration I'm sharing with you, at the end of the day, lack of confidence, lack of energy is undeniably holding you back, and undeniably holding everyone back who's ever suffering from it. How do I know? Because I suffered from it. I was depressed. I was suicidal, 70 pounds heavier. And I've been overweight. People that are suffering from something, the first step for you to overcome it is to raise your hand and say, you know what, it's right. I am suffering from this. That's the first step.
Owning up.
And doing something about it.
Yeah.
And this is the crucial point, and this is what I mentioned at the beginning, where we need to put acts and action behind those wishful thoughts. And this is what you need, Anne Marie, and to everyone listening. And this is what worked for me. You need to see results as soon as possible. Because then it's just like a snowball effect. You know, like when you're trying to get something going, and then once you see the results, like, whoa, you said You know, it wasn't until recently where you had like this momentum shift and you were able to pay off debt and you were able to see. So now you're like, wait, what I've been doing for the last 9 years working, now you're more incentivized to do it, right? So if you're pursuing a healthier lifestyle, a healthier mindset, the ideal way to really stick to it is to get results immediately. And what is the way to get results immediately? I'm gonna give you guys the secret sauce. It's mentorship. You need to hire someone, like come out of pocket, invest in your life, because you're better off paying for a personal trainer. You're better off paying for someone to train you to get healthier than you are for buying medications for, you know, osteoporosis later on. You know,
I think I agree with that. You do need to invest in yourself completely.
Yeah, and then, you know, if we're trying to pursue weight loss, and this is a very sensitive topic, but that's because society's sensitive. Like, just society's just sensitive. Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, I'm gonna get canceled. Like, at the end of the day, you know, I became a medical doctor in the Dominican Republic, right? And I noticed that the poorest people were some of the strongest people. Why? Because they had a lot of manual labor to do. They had to carry water back to their house. They had to live off their land. And then the wealthiest people were the ones suffering from high blood pressure and obesity and diabetes. And those are the people they were getting their feet amputated from eating way too much Oreos and drinking too much soda. You know, so at the end of the day, you know, I'm speaking from both perspectives, from the personal perspective of what I lived and what I felt, and also what I've seen and what I've read in the books, where like overworking your organs is not good, feeling lack of confidence, or like, you know, taking a picture from a certain angle, so it'll, or like wearing extra layers to hide what you don't want to be showing. You know, it's just like it nudges away at your subconscious.
Sure.
Because you're identifying with it.
At the end of the day, we can't really get away from who we are. And every time that we try to, we end up going in the wrong direction.
Yeah, and then it's like, you know, at the end of the day, your subconscious, like I read the what is it? The book is like The Power of the Subconscious Mind, which is like a very, 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 very detailed explanation of the law of attraction. Like it talks about how your conscious is your thoughts and the subconscious is the soil where you plant those thoughts. Those thoughts are seeds, and that's how you get your reality. So you could like scream on top of the mountain, I'm beautiful, I'm rich. But if you deep down inside feel that you're lying to yourself, you can't undo that.
Well, you're talking about the importance of congruence. You know, it's a congruence of congruence of thought, of emotion, of action, of feeling, of spirit. It all has. The idea is that you need to be as congruent as you can, and quite honestly, there are going to be times when we don't feel congruent, and it's okay. That's where we are at that moment in time. But the goal is just to keep looking for how can I become more congruent with myself.
Yes, sir.
And when I do.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, when I do that, then I know I'm growing in the right direction. I'm actually doing the self-development. That is the self-development.
Yes, sir. And you know, my opinion has bias. You know, like I'm in healthcare. You know, and I lost 70 pounds. So my opinion is all about health. Like that's the first step. That is the first step. I mean, think about it. Just a few months ago, people were fighting over toilet paper.
That's true.
So you can have all the financial security you want, but in times of need, that's not going to stop you from somebody punching you in your mouth. Like you can have all the life insurance you want, all the financial security, but the reality is it won't stop an intruder from breaking into your house. I always say this to men specifically. Like if an intruder comes in if you have a significant other, who's your wife going to call? She's going to call you, the man of the house, right? So like, come intervene with this person, call 911 and go like stop this guy. But as a man, you're supposed to be able to protect, provide, and lead your family. But it's really hard to protect your family if you're not able to run around the block.
That's true.
So this is what I mean. Like at the end of the day, people just need to wake up that before you are whatever you categorize yourself, whether you're a paramedic, a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, a businessman, a businesswoman, you're a human being. You know what I mean? Like, you're a human,
Yeah.
And like, part of being alive is like feeling alive. How do you feel alive? If you ever think about like when you ever go on a jog, or like you're playing with your kids or playing with your dog, and like you're breathing and the heart is going, like that's when you're just like,
Those are the signals.
Yes, sir.
Signals we have a tendency to ignore. Of course, when we ignore them, they do tend to come back stronger and stronger. That's a theme that plays out over and over and over again. I like to call it the 2x4 effect. The first time around, you get the little tap on the shoulder, then it's a nudge on the shoulder, then it's a push in the back, and then it's a real hard push in the back. And then if you're still ignoring it, then you get the 2x4. It just keeps coming at you until you finally say, okay, I'm paying attention. I get it.
Yeah. And unfortunately, there's people that don't.
Well, yeah. Some people succumb to the 2x4. Yeah.
Yeah. When I go to the emergency room and I see a lot of people who, they're suffering from their chronic disease, I'm just like, yeah, this person was hit by the 2x4. You know what I mean? Like, it's like you kept, like, I have an aunt where she has diabetes, and like she's got like this thing with her pills, and it's just so many pills. Oh my gosh, so many pills. But under that, her favorite pastry is under the pills.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, she's got her favorite pastry right there, and you open up her fridge, and she's got like her avocados and her diet Snapple and her diet juice. And then she's also got the, she calls it the poison, And
at least she labels it well. I mean, she knows what it is.
And my grandmother, one of the people that I love the most in the entire world, she suffered from obesity. And she succumbed to all the problems that come with obesity. And so I'm familiar with the mindset, like my grandmother, they were like, you gotta eat cauliflower and no salt and all these things. And then like one day I was eating pizza next to her, and she's like, the hell with that. And she grabbed the cheese on the pizza and just ate it, like she was like, I'm telling you, so I know. And then you know what it is? It's depression. That's what it is. It's depression.
Or to put it another way, it's feeling out of control.
Yeah, it's depression because you have something called a positive feedback loop. Right? So the positive feedback loop, you have this thing where you feel bad for doing something. You consume something, like let's say alcohol. You consume it, you feel bad for consuming it, and then that leads to like guilt and shame for doing it. And then it makes you seek comfort. And then you end up consuming the thing again, and you just keep spiraling with it.
Yeah.
And this was my reality with pornography. Like, it's like the more you do it, the more addicted you become, and the more shameful you become, which is a horrible mix. And if you look at an alcoholic, a person who's obese, and a person who's a drug addict, what they have in common is depression. And what they're doing is just using a different vice to remedy that guilt that they feel for ruining their lives, ruining their finances, or ruining their body.
One of the things I've always
consuming it again.
One of the things I've always found to be somewhat morbidly fascinating is the degree and often the extent to which we will go out of our way to defend these little loops that we get caught in. They're often called comfort zones or familiar zones or whatever. It doesn't really matter what you label them. But for whatever reason, we human beings, we're just kind of drawn to them. It almost feels at times like they're outside of our control. And of course, the moment that we're saying that is the moment that we've stopped our own self-development and kind of handed our power off to somebody else. But nevertheless, that's the most common response. Yeah, I mean, you were describing it among your family members, for instance, and it's not just in your family; it's endemic. It's everywhere.
Many, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, comfort and growth don't coexist
No, not really. No.
at all. Like if you think about any time you're growing, you have to make yourself uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like how are you growing when you're on your couch with your feet up watching TV? There's no growth going on.
Not
There's
very
stagnation,
much.
and it's
Yeah.
sedentary.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so I do martial arts. You know, I practice like advanced jujitsu and the fundamentals of it as well. And like although I find myself getting choked at times, you know, or almost being paralyzed from things that I do, as intense as that may sound, it allows me to grow as a man. Because remember, part of being a man is providing for your family and protecting your family. So I consciously make myself uncomfortable so I'm better equipped to protect my sons and my wife and my daughter. I just had a brand new daughter. Her name is Dahlia. She's 3 months.
Congratulations.
And,
Congratulations.
my sons, they're that I mentioned. If it's all right, I'll introduce you.
Yeah, sure.
Xavier and Reynolds, please stand to my right so you could be in the shot.
Are they coming over?
Yep.
There he is. Hey, guys.
Hi, guys.
Yep. And okay, guys, let me continue our conversation, please.
Nice to meet you.
They said nice to meet you.
Cute kids.
Yeah, thank you. But one of my favorite parts of pursuing this and why I speak with so much emotion about everything I say, it's because it allows me to be a better father. It allows me to be a better husband. It allows me to be a better son. It allows me to be a better mentor, a better life coach. Like embodying these mindsets of a can-do attitude, embodying these things, it's not about you.
Well, in one sense, it is though. It is about you in the sense that doing all those things also helps you feel good in your own skin. You feel good about yourself.
But once you prioritize doing it for people that you love, because humans are willing to do for the people they love things that they won't do for themselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So it's like but the we'll benefit from it as well. Like for example, when I go work out, for example, to me it's therapy. But of course, it's like aesthetic benefits as well. But so what I mean is like, yeah, you're absolutely right. We're definitely benefiting from it. But to me, the biggest benefit is to see, like my kids, their teacher was like, "Who's your favorite superhero?" And like unanimously, they said, "Daddy."
That's great.
Like they'll look up to like other superheroes. But like the way they, like yesterday, it was Easter here in the States, and we had like a family gathering, and like I swear to you, they came up to me with sincere love and respect like 50 times.
That feels good too.
Yeah, oh my God, it's so sincere. And it was because of, they're witnessing their dad like being a hard worker, helping people, being healthy, not drinking alcohol, being disciplined with his food, being disciplined with his emotions, vibing at a high level.
That's really good.
Yeah, it's priceless is what it is.
Yeah.
And
there's a lot of joy and a lot of love in that too.
Yes, sir.
And a lot of clarity. I mean, because what you've really described is how you, through your journey, you found new levels of clarity every step of the way to the point where you have this massive amount of clarity today.
Yeah, and it's like clarity and inspiration is one of the most important things we could share with the world.
And it works too. I mean, when you share, yes, I mean, it's great when we're sharing like through a podcast like we're doing right here. But when we just live as who we are in our world with our people, just doing our regular stuff, it gets out there. It's not like we actually have to go out of our way to, okay, I'm going to project all this great stuff to all these people over here. No, they just kind of they pick up the vibe just because that's where you're at.
Yeah, it was funny. You were talking about the cyst on your finger, and you're like, I threw my laser, I put my laser eyes on it, and it didn't work. You know, that was hilarious. Yeah, because the thing is, it's like you just gotta like, because the results speak for themselves.
Mm.
You don't have to convince anybody that you're positive.
Right.
You just are, and
Yeah.
you attract the people who are vibing on that frequency. You will attract those people because, like, think about it. If a person who ever suffered from road rage, they're losing in life. So that's why they're doing the road rage thing. But if you just won, a $500,000 commission check, you're healthy, your car is nice and washed, you just came out of the barbershop, you just came out of the salon, you're feeling beautiful, and someone cuts you off in traffic, it's just like, whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it's not even a thing, But if you're having
and it's
a bad
also
day,
rare too. I mean, because if you're the guy who is often raging when you're on the road, then life just keeps handing you more and more opportunities to rage.
Yeah. I love that thing you said about how, like, you just gotta, like, not think about it. Like, you gotta reframe it. You know what I mean? The more you think about it, the more you attract it.
The power of reframing is almost indescribable. It's just incredibly powerful. Yeah. I remember, Emery, the first time that Joel Elston. I don't think I've told you. Joel Elston's coming back.
Is he?
He is. Yeah, he's coming back starting tomorrow, Tuesdays. We're going to be doing the Tuesday recordings at 7 p.m. Eastern instead of 4 p.m. Eastern, and that's when he can actually do it. So he's going to be back on a weekly basis. But
incredible! Congrats.
I'm excited. I know a lot of listeners are excited too.
Joel Osteen?
No. That Joel Osteen is a different person. This is Joel Elston. This is a guy who's a friend of mine. He lives in the Richmond, Virginia area. He's a former psychotherapist, currently a life coach, and has an amazing story. And certainly as influential in his circles as Joel Osteen is, as Joel Osteen is, but different guy, completely different guy, and a different story, and really an interesting guy. But anyway, I remember the time he was telling me about this concept that we're talking about here. And I didn't quite believe it at first. Now, this was early on in the podcast, so this would be like 8 or 9 years ago. I remember him describing what we're talking about here, and there was a little skepticism. And Dr. Ray, I'm kind of curious. I'm sure you get skepticism on this when you're talking about this with people that you meet or that you get to know well, or people you already know. When you get that skepticism, how do you handle that skepticism? How do you deal with it?
I realized that it's not their time.
Ah, yes.
Because the thing is, like, when I used to smoke cigarettes, there was a time when people used to be like, yo, you got to stop. You're going to get cancer. I used to be like, I know. So it's like some people are just, you could lead a horse to water, but you can't make him drink.
Right.
Yeah, you've got to be able to do it yourself, ready to do it yourself, haven't you?
Yeah, one of my favorite phrases is a takeoff on the cliche you just named, which is you can lead a human to inspiration, but you can't make them think.
Yeah, and that's so factual. We have to, like, one thing I learned is we have to value our energy and value every second of our life, because every second that passes, we get closer to our death. Like, we need to have a sense of urgency. We're dying a little bit every second. And I don't mean to be morbid, but I have to. And if you're spending time trying to help people that don't want to help themselves, you're wasting your time.
You're kind of talking about you're talking about the flip side of appreciation, actually.
What do you mean?
Well, you're talking about people who are in a place where they really don't appreciate where they are, and they don't really appreciate where they're going. And so you're asking yourself, well, is it worth me spending my time on people who don't even appreciate where they're going?
Yeah, you gotta. One thing I learned is, because I meet a lot of people, and I've struggled to help with those closest to me. But you gotta spend your time and energy on people that value your time and energy.
Yes.
because they'll just take you for granted. And one thing my mentor told me is, I lean more towards like the hard truths and kind of like what I need to hear. So my mentor, I was like, listen, man, I want to really help these people that have diabetes. I really want to help them, and they got high blood pressure. Like, you got to let them die. Like, what? No, that goes against everything that I learned, But it made sense. Because it's like they know what they're doing to themselves, yet they continue to do it. So until they're ready to change it, you can't really change it. Now, that doesn't mean you close the door on them and ignore them. Right. It's more like we got to be like a lighthouse. And I'm sure you guys heard the concept of the lighthouse, which is basically, the lighthouse shines its light in the middle of the sea, and it will guide you to safety, will guide you home. But one thing particular about the lighthouse is the lighthouse won't go to you. You need to come to it.
Right.
True.
So the way I look at myself is somewhat of like a lighthouse. Like, I'll make sure that my discipline's intact. I'll make sure that my daily habits are intact. I'll make sure that my mindset is intact. And I'll let that light emanate and let it attract who it's supposed to come. Because some of the people, like my YouTube channel, I have a lot of videos, almost 500 videos that I've uploaded trying to help EMTs and paramedics, for example. And I've uploaded videos, and some of the most hurtful things are being said by my colleagues all around the country. You know what I mean? So that's a testament of how, like, some people just don't see the importance of what you're doing.
And that's also a big challenge. Let's be honest. That's a really big challenge, because we are going to encounter people along our journeys that don't see eye to eye with us, that disagree with what we're doing, that think that we're nuts, that think we're, fill in your blank with whatever your favorite adjective is. But they're basically just going to say, no. And the big challenge is to accept that that's where they are. Yep. It's not where I am. I mean, I'm in a different place than they are, but that they're at where they're at. That's it. Yep. That's all there is to it.
It doesn't mean that 5 years later down the line, that something you still said then suddenly resonates.
It very well could, yeah. And you never know when that's going to happen either.
Yep. That's why we just stay there for them. Love them unconditionally.
Right.
Like I have family members. Listen, they're in their 40s. They're homeless. Last time I saw the guy, he had urine in his pants. It's hurtful. Like, I was raised looking up to you, and now you like went down this spiral. You spiraled out of control with the substance.
Yeah, that's tough.
But I love him. I gave him a hug anyway. Come here, I love you. And I tell him, like, listen, if you did a few more push-ups, you can maybe replace the alcohol. If you jumped on my mentorship program, I can help you. But they don't want to be helped, and that's what I mean. Like, it hurts, but at the end of the day, hopefully it'll turn around. I would love to, see him like change it all around.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, you gotta like let him be. It's
a form of respect, really. I mean, it sounds odd to say that, but it really is a form of respect.
Yes,
for whatever reason, they are deciding to go down that path, and the universe just keeps handing them one example after another of, here's another opportunity to either pick the same thing you've been doing or switching up. And they say, yep, I'm going to keep picking the same thing I've been doing. Yep, I'm going to keep doing it. Yep, I'm going to keep doing it. Yep, I'm going to keep doing it.
And people, I'm sorry to interrupt.
No, that's all right.
People they'll try to refute what you're saying, but the results speak for themselves.
Oh yeah.
Like I remember I was in the sauna, and there was like a nephrologist there, and he's just like, oh, the beta blockers and all these medical jargon that I'm very familiar with. And he was talking about healthy and overall health. And I'm like, bro, and then he was disagreeing with the fact that like you could watch what you eat and do exercise, and that's not the ultimate sign of health. He was just like doing all this stuff. And he was like brainwashed from all the years of prescribing medications. I was like, hey doc, by the way, I'm a doctor too. But before our degrees, how about you just look at my body and look at yours? You just gotta like stop it right there. Like, just look at me. I'm sweating, I'm muscular, and I'm healthy. I'm not even taking any like supplements to make this happen. This is just from hard work. This is from discipline. And you're over here with like man boobs. What are you talking about? And why do I bring this up? Because at the end of the day, when you meet someone who's a naysayer, when you meet someone that you want to help, the best way to help them or to shut down a naysayer is by having results that are undeniable.
That's true. And very obvious too. I mean, in the case of what you're describing, it's very obvious. Well, they often do.
Yeah, because of the hard work that comes with it. You know what I mean? Like, one of the reasons why, like, people are looked up like a six-pack and having millions and millions of dollars is so coveted. It's because it's really hard to accomplish for some people. So they just give up. You know what I mean? But yeah, just if you love somebody, I always say, if you love your wife, if you really love your kids, don't talk about it, be about it. Prove it. And how do you prove it? Let's say you have a daughter. I met this mom. She was overweight in the park. And then she was with her daughter who was also overweight. And we started talking, and she was telling me how her daughter was suffering from bullying. And I was like, that's your fault. And she did not want to accept it. But you need to take extreme accountability. Like, it hurts me that she was suffering from bullying because I was once bullied as well. But you need to realize, once again, if you're that lighthouse for your family, then they're one step closer to being in your light, to being like you. So my kids, for example, they also do martial arts. They also do push-ups. They also watch what they eat. So this decreases the chances, does not annihilate them, but it decreases the chances of them being victimized by bullying. So this is how I look at it. Like, I, as a parent, as the man of the house, I have the ability to alter the lives of the people in my house.
Yeah.
Through my acts.
Certainly.
Go ahead, I'm sorry, Anne-Marie.
No, I was just saying, certainly with my girls, I always say to them, my job as your parent is to give you the tools you need for you to be a successful adult, for you to achieve what you want to achieve. And that's what you're doing.
Yes, ma'am. And it feels very good. It feels very good to then once we have ourselves in place, then it's time to pay it forward. And we pay it forward first in our house, then in our backyard, and then with the world, kind of like what you guys are doing here on the podcast. But to all parents out there, just the bullying is a big deal. It's a big deal. And if your kids are being bullied, it's probably because you were bullied as well. It's not always 100% accurate. What I'm saying is there's always outliers to every comment, right? So you can't really, but in general, I told the mom, like, listen, something that it won't stop the bullying, but it'll make it better is you need to like lose weight yourself and help her lose weight as well. Then maybe this will decrease it. Have her do a martial art. Have her raise her confidence and her self-esteem so that she's also able to defend herself. But it's like, if you're in the corner crying and feeling like a victim, it's going to go on for the rest of her life. Now, you could tell the teachers all you want. You can complain all you want. And you may not be suffering from bullying, but you may be suffering from, lack of health or financial health. You don't have any money, and like, you have financial problems. Whatever it is you're suffering from, the resolution is found in the work. And that's it. Like, you could try to manifest it all you want, but get to work.
Well, go ahead, Anne-Marie. No, I'll come back.
No, I was just thinking, it's just like my perception of bullying, and like my daughter's just about to go to what you guys would call senior school or high school, and she's like, I'm going to go there, I'm going to get bullied, and you know, there's nothing about her physically that would invite that. However, I'm like, well, with that mentality, that's going to happen, and you need to focus on appreciation of that person and have changed that whole mindset so that that bullying then isn't a bad thing. It's something that you can learn to appreciate, and it'll disappear, it'll disintegrate right before your eyes.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of times we deal with stuff that even if we try to avoid it, it happens.
Mm-hmm.
And then the mindset for that, for me, is kind of like, oh, I need this, because it's like,
Exactly.
it's like an obstacle that allows you to find the solution, and then it's like the precursor to your next level up. You know,
Yeah.
like just to like be stronger in that certain area.
And it goes back to what you said, you know, something bad happening that makes you stronger. Well, by controlling that, being able to change the situation, that's tick, that's that toolbox for that one done. That's going to build my growth.
Yes, ma'am.
Emery, you and I were exactly on the same page, because I was literally about to ask Dr. Ray a question about the relationship between action and mindset. I mean, that's exactly where I was coming at. So I'm going to go right to that question. So Dr. Ray, what do you think comes first? Is it mindset that comes first? Is it action that comes first? Is it a tie? How do you see it?
I feel like it's a combination of both, because you can't really have one without the other.
Mm-hmm.
So what I feel is that once your consciousness is congruent with the actions, then that will alter your mindset. But once your mindset is congruent with what you want, then that will alter your actions. So you got to get around high-level thinkers so you can have high-level thoughts. And those high-level thoughts will lead to high-level actions, and then you will ultimately become a high-level individual. You know, like you just got like, but at the end of the day, you know, we could go ahead and enter this rabbit hole of describing it and all this stuff, but I just go right back to the work. You know, like I just pulled the trigger of the lever on a really big move recently, right? And I'm going to be entering a different phase in my business that's going to be able to extrapolate, I mean, like catapult me into like new levels. So I could be a brighter, so I could be a brighter lighthouse. And I'm going to continue to shine, but I want to shine brighter.
Sounds
and
great.
Then
can you give us a clue?
Yeah, so I'm going to provide a digital solution to personnel engagement, like employee engagement.
Okay.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to provide a digital solution for the United States government.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow. That's ambitious.
I mean, why not?
Yeah, but still, I mean, it's ambitious.
I mean, I say to you, not like you're being condescending. I'm just saying, this is my thought process. Like, why not?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just like, just go all out. Like, you're going to spend the same effort speaking to like giving a digital solution to like a grocery store. You might as well spend that same effort to like helping the nation and the world.
Wow. I can't wait to hear about this one when it comes to fruition. Like, whoa, okay, this is going to be good.
And that's because of what I was saying. Like, how could I not have the confidence to do this? I'm working out. I know martial arts. I could probably beat up the person, which I won't, you know. But like, just like these are things that you just have to like. You just have to be undeniable, and I'm super deniable, by the way. Like, if you compare me to my mentor, you'll be like, nah, Dr. Ray, you're a goldfish, and your mentor is like, you know what I mean? Like, it's like happily dissatisfied, you know, like something he always says, where it's like, you got like, my mentor is like a whale, and I'm a goldfish in the sea of life, you know, and then, but he's got like people above him, you know, and it's always like levels.
It sounds like you found exactly the right mentor for yourself, because the mentor is the one who, if it's the right one, that person really pushes you just by being who they are.
Yeah. Exactly. And that's the secret sauce, like I mentioned before. Whether you're trying to be healthier, whether you're trying to improve your finances, your relationship, your house, or whatever, you need to find someone who's strong in that area of life and have them teach you.
Mm.
Let them
Wait,
teach you.
let me ask you something before we run out of time on this one too, and we got to get
I
to
could be here all
how
day,
people.
by the way. I'm having a
Yeah.
blast. I thank you.
Good. I'm
Thank you
glad you
both.
are. That's great. But I wanted to zero in on this one thing, and then we got to get some information from you so that people can find you. But when you were looking for a mentor, I imagine you were looking first and then you found him rather than the reverse order, although it could work either way. But what were you looking for? How did you find this guy?
So a lot of people say social media is a problem. Social media is a tool. You're the problem. So the algorithm will show you what you want to see based on your searches. So my searches were always like self-development, law of attraction, and like just being a better person. And like some way, somehow it ended up on my screen. And then I went into the rabbit hole of like figuring out who this person was. And by the way, he doesn't like to be promoted by his mentees because he teaches us how to be life mentors as well. And he's like, bro, if you send them to me, I'm going to take your client. I want you to do you. I want you to shine.
Mm-hmm.
You
Which
know,
is what any
so
good mentor wants.
yeah, so but if you want to know what led me towards my mentor, you need a mentor you need a life coach who is strong in all areas of life. Like I'm a doctor. I'm in shape. I just got remarried and my wife is 23 years old. She's a model, just had my baby and is 14 years younger than me. Last month I made 5 times more money than I've made in my entire life. My kids love me. I could defend them. I could protect them, and I'm leading my family. That's the type of mentor you want. You don't want a mentor that's strong in only one area of life. Like, let's say it's academics. Let's say it's spirituality. But they talk about discipline, yet you could tell in their body, you could tell in their face that they're not disciplined. So it's like, that's what led me to my mentor, where like he would upload a bunch of videos with no shirt on. And it's just like, yo, he's talking some spiritual stuff, man. You know, like some deep, conscious, intellectual concepts. Wow, while you know, while being in like optimal shape. And it's just like, I haven't seen this combination before. You know what I mean? Like
it really grabbed you. Yeah.
Yeah. And this is the lighthouse concept.
Mm-hmm.
Where if you really, 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 really love your family, if you really, really want to help mankind, then you need to follow that type of blueprint, which is what I'm doing. And it's worked out very handsomely for me.
And if I can be so bold, you really knew what you were looking for. I think that's probably the biggest key from my perspective. You knew what you were looking for.
I discovered it. It was like divine intervention. Like everything in my life is the law of attraction. Like I didn't know that's what I was looking for.
What did you think you were looking for?
I was just online looking for like improvement, because we all get that nudge. Like I want to do better. Like, you know, people that are into this type of podcast, people that are into this type of content, we're always like, all right, you know, what else can I work on? But then when I discovered my mentor, I was like, oh my God, this is God in the man form. Not that he's the God or whatever you believe in, but
No, I follow.
It's someone sent by God, the universe, or whatever you believe in. I feel like God has soldiers, and we're here to like fight his battles by leading people towards a righteous way of thinking and living.
I would suggest that you actually were looking for him. You may not have been consciously looking that particular day, but I think that was an ongoing pattern going here. That you knew what you valued. You valued being in shape. You valued being a provider. You valued being a protector. You gave a lot of attention to that. You focused a lot of your mind thought on that. You focused your action on that. That is looking for your mentor.
Hey,
So,
I have to agree. Yes, sir.
You know,
I have to agree. Yes,
that's
sir.
exactly what was going on. I mean, I think you did a brilliant job of it too. By the way, you found exactly the guy you were looking for.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very confident, but I don't take credit for anything I did. It's just all divine intervention. It's all God. It's all the universe, the law of attraction. I feel like it's all under one umbrella, and it's just divine intervention. It's just meant to be.
This has been a really fascinating conversation, and our hour is up, but we got to get a couple more pieces of information from you. First and foremost, for somebody who is considering perhaps that Dr. Ray might be a mentor for themselves, how would they reach out to you?
So I'm very active on Instagram, and you could reach out. Reach out to me at NYC Streets MD. That's NYC, New York City, where I'm from. Streets, because I originated in the streets by being arrested and all that stuff, to still being on the street, because sometimes I work on the ambulance as a paramedic in the South Bronx of New York City. And MD, because I'm a medical doctor. So NYC Streets MD. But I'm also on LinkedIn, on TikTok, on YouTube, on Facebook. You'll find a way.
All right.
Just make it happen.
Sounds great. And then, like I like to do with all the guests that come out of the program, you were talking about this earlier, the importance of giving, of being there and helping somebody else and giving your attention in that way. That makes you a giver. And like all givers, you give and give and give. And there are many people who, they perhaps heard you on this podcast, or they heard you on another podcast, or they read something that you wrote, or they saw something that you posted somewhere on social media, and you helped them in a way that you never knew about. I think it's important to recognize that. So on behalf of those people that you've never met and you've never seen, thank you for what you've been doing and what you continue to do, because it makes a big difference.
Thank you for that. Likewise. Thank you so much.
Appreciate that much. And I appreciate you, Anne-Marie, as usual. This has been
thank you, Anne-Marie.
That was
good.
Interesting.
Yeah, this is good stuff.
Thank you so much.
Thank you guys all so much. Thank you to our podcast listeners everywhere. We'll see you all next time here on LOA Today. Goodbye, everybody.